Foster care is in crisis. Foster families need support as they face greater challenges. Without support, we are seeing foster families leaving at an alarming rate. Approximately 100 foster homes closed in South Texas in recent years. On average, approximately 15 children are without placement and staying at various locations because they are waiting for foster placements. More than 200 children are waiting for adoptions in the Coastal Bend. 90% of the youth aging out of the foster care system are facing homelessness, trafficking, lured into prostitution, incarceration, or death within 3 years. These children need churches to actively engage in the foster care crisis. Youth need Christ-loving families that will become foster and/or adoptive families who will not only provide love, but to introduce children to the one who can bring healing. Children without placement need local churches and businesses that will continue to provide meals for them while waiting for a foster placement. Just since April of 2021, over 1,000 meals have been delivered. Foster families need couples and individuals who will become respite care providers to lend support. Our prayer is that we, as the church, would step up to build the ranch, a 24-home community for foster children ages 0 to 23. We are praying and believing that the church will answer the call to become mentors for youth who are aging out of the foster care system so that they have a connection in their community. There are so many on-ramps to the call of child advocacy. Most importantly, prayer. If you are a follower of Jesus, pray. Pray for the children. Pray for the church to rise up. Pray for the caseworkers. Take meals to children without placement. Become a respite care provider or become a foster and/or adoptive parent and make a difference. Join us. Find us at agaperanch.org.
Today is the day that's nationally recognized in the church as Stand Sunday. This is a day highlighting the needs of foster care and foster families and children in our local communities. And so I'm going to read a little bit about how Stand Sunday started, and then Becca's going to tell you a little bit about our family's story with it. This is about a church in Brownwood, Texas, where this all started from. When Bishop Aaron Blake, pastor and foster adoptive father, left his breakfast table for church on the second Sunday of November in 2004, he had a sermon prepared. And it wasn't about foster care. I had prepared a sermon to preach that morning that I'd worked on all week. I stood up to bring the message when the breakfast table image of our boys came back to my mind. The faces of our sons seemed to multiply in my emotions, and I knew that God was prompting our church to answer the call for children and broken families. Without explanation, Bishop Blake said to his congregation, "Brothers and sisters, there are about 30,000 children in the foster care system in Texas and nearly 500,000 in the U.S. He then asked this one simple question, and he wasn't expecting a verbal answer. Who will support abused, abandoned, and neglected children in our community? After a brief moment of silence, one lady in the back of the church stood up and simply replied, "Pastor, I will." To his amazement, he watched as one family after another stood up and joined their voices to hers. And as a result of that day, his church and the surrounding community has cared for and adopted hundreds of children in foster care over the last 12 years. In fact, their county actually has more than enough foster families to meet the need there. And that's an unprecedented thing for a county. So, Becca, just tell us.
All right, so fun fact, Chris and I met in Brownwood. And we were in college. We weren't married. We didn't have any kids. And we didn't know anything about the foster care climate in Brownwood. But all of that was going on while we were there. The initial situation with Harvest Church there was before we were there, but they, to this day, have more foster families than they need in Brown County. They're the only county in Texas that can say that, and it's just amazing. And it started when one church said, we want to come alongside hurting children in our community. So I told Chris while we were dating, while we were in Brownwood, I remember this moment. So I'm the youngest of 4 kids. He's the oldest of 5 kids. And I said, I really want a big family. We weren't engaged yet or anything. And I said, I really want a big family. I think I would really like to have a lot of kids and maybe foster and maybe adopt kids. What do you think about that? And he didn't run away screaming. And so I thought, this is the guy for me. It was one of those moments where I was like, yes, Lord, this is the man that I'm meant for. We are going to have a big family. So we had our 2 biological children. We were brand new to the church at that time, to this church. And like many others, we felt a call. We went into foster care and we had just rose-colored glasses. We thought, this is what God's calling us to. And God, this is how it's going to work. We're going to take kids into our home and we're going to love on them and we're going to love on their biological family. And then we're going to send them back to their home and we're going to be in this ministry for like 20 years. This is how it's going to go, God. And obviously, that's not how it happened. God said, yes, let's get you in the door and then let's just change the whole plan. So we are now 4.5 years into our fostering journey, and we are on the 12-day now countdown to removing our license from the wall in our home and adopting our girls. So we're really excited, but thank you.
And that's
so
because
ready.
the state of Texas caps you off at 6 children.
Yeah, I
Says you
told them
can't
I
have
would
any.
take more. They've said no. So obviously God had other plans, but this is what I want to share about this morning on Stand Sunday, is that just like in one church in Brownwood, one person started saying yes, and it revolutionized that entire region of Texas because of a church who was obedient to God's call for their church. So this is what I walk away from our 4.5 years of foster care now saying that for this, it's not over yet. This 4.5 years could have broken us. It's been wonderful, but it's been hard. And it could have broken us, but it didn't. And this is why I'm standing in front of you today. I want to tell you why. We've had community. Our families have been incredibly supportive of us. They don't live here, though. This is our church, and this is our family. It's our community, and we never wanted for anything as a foster family. The children that we have brought into this church have been enveloped and loved by you, by this community. And so that support and prayers, physical needs met, all of those things was what kept our home open to children for 4.5 years. So that's what we want for all foster families. Sometimes at our agency, foster families come in and they say, I don't have support. And we think, oh, you're not going to make it. And it sounds terrible, but get plugged into a church. Get people in your corner. So right now, there are more than 15,000 children in foster care in Texas. The last main count was done in March of this year, and it was 15,400. So we have, I don't know how many churches in Texas, but I think we can all confidently say it's a whole lot more than that. So as we go into 2022, our family has started for the last couple of months praying that we would see an awakening for child advocacy, orphan care, and foster care in Corpus Christi. And this is the challenge that I want to start presenting to our church and other churches, is that if every church in just Corpus had one foster family, just the one, that would be more than we would need for our whole, we're a region of 3 counties here. But if Corpus Christi had one foster family in every church, we would have more than enough. That family wouldn't even always have children with them, but if they kept their license open and they were always prepared. And so, one per church, that's all it would take. But we know better than anybody that not everyone is called to foster care. I feel like a broken record saying that all the time. I know not everyone can. And so I want to take the challenge that I would love to present to more churches a little further. So we're going to have a slide. It's going to be right up here. And I want you to do me a favor. I'm going to tell you about the slide. But while I'm doing that, take out your phone and bring up the camera and take a picture of it. I'm watching and I'm waiting. I can see you. Okay, so take a picture of that slide for me. If you have a phone with a camera, do that. Okay, so this is a slide that I put together showing that the foster parent, not that they're the most important, but they're in the middle because these are the people who can surround a foster parent. We've got babysitters, CASA volunteers. Now, CASA volunteers are actually, they advocate for children in court. But they're volunteers. They don't have to have any special certifications. They're amazing. They're like a big brother, big sister for children in foster care. Respite providers who can watch children overnight. Somebody who can make a meal when a family gets a new placement. Someone who has the spiritual gift of encouragement, who can send an encouraging text or a card to the kids in the home or to the foster parent every once in a while. Children's ministry volunteers, you're welcome, Barbara. Somebody who can mow a lawn in a challenging season. Prayer warriors, and that can be everybody in this room, and then back up to babysitters. So what I think would be amazing is, could you all save that picture to your phone? I've got it, I'm saving it as my lock screen, so I always see it. Take 1 minute a day, that's it, for the next week, and just pray over that list and ask if God could use you in one of those positions for a foster family in our area. Everybody can be a prayer warrior, but maybe there's something on this list that stands out to you, or that you think, I know someone who would be amazing at that and could really, put that bug in their ear. We hear all the time, I want to help, but I don't know how. So this is your list for how you can help. Now, if each church had one foster family and one of these people, think about how we could get the gospel into the hearts of children. Then ideally they are reunified with their families, and the gospel is in that family and is able to spread through our community through a church just saying, I want to be a Sunday school teacher or a babysitter or somebody who sends an encouraging card to a kid. Our churches can rise up to take care of vulnerable children and families through just really simple steps. But our family is about to be done fostering, and what I'm praying right now, and have been praying for about 2 months now, and I'm carrying this through until it comes to fruition, hopefully, is that God would call someone else in our church to be the next foster family in this community. And I'm going to tell you why I want to see that happen, because I was so blessed, and am currently still so blessed by this church surrounding our family. So if that's something you're interested in, come chat with me. I would love to talk with you about it. And then I said this in the middle of the first service and regretted it. I saved it for the end this time. Our church, we have 2 biological children, and then we have had 8 children come through our home in foster care. So that's 8 specifically foster children that this church has changed the lives of. 8 kids. 2 that are currently adopted. My 2s. 2 biological, 2 that are currently adopted. 2 that are almost adopted. Y'all pray. 2 children who were adopted by biological family members who have gone on home, and 2 children who are still in foster care with other families in the state who were willing to step out for my babies and love on them. I am so grateful for the way that this church has left our kids. Okay, we're going to pray. God, I thank you that you love vulnerable children. I thank you that you've called up people in the church to be the hands and feet of your gospel in churches in our area. And God, we ask that you would use Stand Sunday as a reminder to churches all over our nation, and specifically here in our city, God, that you want to see people rise up to care for the children that you have made and that you love. God, thank you for this church. Thank you for the ways that they are already doing that, and thank you for the ways that are to come. It's in your precious name we pray. Amen.